like and subscribe, and I am officially back. Had a little trouble with my computer, but other than that, I had nothing else to say. Everything that I told you is coming true. I told you that Ukraine could not win a war with Russia because it would be like Mexico in a war with the United States. Outmanned, outgunned. And even with the United States supplying Ukraine with weapons, it is a waste of money. It's a waste of money because we have nothing to gain either way. And we should not have been trying to increase NATO and stretch American imperialism into Eastern Europe. Now, I stated that the United States is going to cause the downfall of Eastern Europe. And they're doing that with sanctions. They're hurting Eastern Europe with sanctions. Take Germany, for instance. Who blew up the pipeline from Germany to Russia when Germany was told that the United States was sanctioning Russia? Therefore, they couldn't buy their oil. But they were buying it anyway. So, geopolitically, the word around town geopolitically is that Ukraine, with the assistance of the United States, destroyed the pipeline. That hurt the German economy and had a ripple effect throughout Eastern Europe. Now, Israel, as I've told you, Israel is surrounded by what? Muslim nations. Israel may have about what, 10 million people. But they're surrounded by over 100 million people. They can't win. And understand this, Iran is just as strong as Israel. In fact, they are more powerful than Israel. And Israel would have to, and Iran isn't just entered the war. Israel was losing the war to Hamas, losing the war in the sea to the Houthis, and the United States couldn't help, and they were being decimated by Hezbollah. They're surrounded. Now you have the Ukraine depending on the United States for military support, and you have Israel. And the United States is $36 trillion in debt. All Russia, China, and Iran has to do is wait for the United States to go belly up and broke. The war of attrition. So they're in no hurry. And they have nothing to gain in fighting a war against the United States. Nothing to gain. The only thing a war with the United States might do is wipe out the United States debt to a certain extent. It's a waste of time. It's like breaking into a person's house who has absolutely nothing in there of value. And I already mentioned that the United States and Israel lost the propaganda war when South Africa filed a lawsuit against Israel for genocide. So Israel can't win the propaganda war. So that's done. Russia has defeated the Ukraine because their military is more advanced, technologically more advanced than the United States. They are destroying the United States weapons, and the Ukrainians have been leaving those weapons, tanks or whatever, in working order on the battlefield and running. Now, Russia has all of that technology. So now they know how to destroy tanks and other weaponry of the United States. They were technologically more advanced anyway. Now, when we go to the tech war, China is using 5G, the United States is using 4G. China is more technologically advanced than the United States, and the United States wants to sanction China because the word is China is cheating, and we want China to stop outdoing us, so we want to sanction them or tell them to give us their technology so that we can be the great white hope. We can you can help us support Caucasian imperialism. China said no. They're more advanced. In fact, Russia had to bring our astronauts back to Earth because we couldn't do it. So I've mentioned how Israel and Ukraine is bringing us down because, first of all, we are supplying them with weapons that are inferior to Russia and to Iran, who is supplying the Houthis, Hamas, and Lebanon, and Hezbollah. They're surrounded. And Iran just got into the situation. But Iran hasn't really declared war. They're just calling it retribution for killing our leaders. Now you have Turkey, which is the second most powerful country in NATO, wanting to attack Israel. Israel's a no-win situation. Israel attacked Lebanon, Hezbollah, to get the war to stop the war from coming into Israel. And then when they went, Hezbollah defeated them again. And while Israel was in Lebanon losing, Iran attacked Israel with supersonic missiles that go 18,000 miles per hour, and they are therefore you are unable to shoot them down because they're moving so fast. You see them, and then you hear the sound a couple seconds later. The Iron Dome don't work for that. They are not ballistic missiles that go up fast and come down. These go straight to the target. So the United States has lost the propaganda war, the physical war. Now, let's talk about BRICS. Russia, China, and Iran are not trying to devalue the dollar. They just want an alternate way to trade and purchase from other countries. That's all they want to do. They don't want to use that SWIFT program and be held prisoner to sanctions. They want a universal war where trade is free. And you don't have to worry about somebody else getting into your country's personal business. They want free trade. They want a multipolar world instead of a world dominated by racism and American imperialism, telling people what to do, telling countries what they should and should not do. No country wants that. Now the United States is selling wolf tickets, talking about they're going to do this and they're going to do that. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea calling their bluff. They're not worried about the United States doing anything. And Iran, understand this. Israel is a terrorist state. What does a terrorist state do? It kills civilians. Israel had pagers, cell phones, and whatever going off, hurting, killing citizens. Not their military, citizens. Ukraine had a terrorist act at a concert. Terrorist act. But Ukraine's military cannot defeat Russia's military. Israel's military cannot defeat Hamas, Houthis, or Hezbollah, so they turn to taking out civilians with the hopes of starting a World War III. But it's not going to happen because it is not profitable for Iran, Russia, and China to get into an all-out war with the United States when the United States is losing all the proxy wars anyway. We are $36 trillion in debt, and the World Bank and IMF told the United States to stop spending money, but we keep spending money. Now, who's going to pay that? Me and you, United States citizens. We already give $2 billion a year to Israel anyway. And before the war started, they had a $3.4 billion surplus, or $3.4 trillion, $3.4 billion surplus. And we were giving them still $2 billion a year. And guess what they have? They have national health care and free college education, neither of which the United States has. And we're paying for them to have that. Who's the fool? But I predicted, and then, last but not least, the United States has 800 bases all over the world. The base in Syria is being bombed. The base in Iraq is being bombed. So they can always, we got 800 bases all over the world with about 1,000 men on them. Guess what? They're sitting ducks. They're sitting ducks. Supersonic missiles, you don't even need supersonic missiles to take them out. You can take them out with drones. You can take them out with $1,000, $2,000 drones. And you can damage them with drones that cost $300 or $400. Doesn't make any sense. So I've just been watching things happen. And I told you all this. Stock up on food. I told you this. Stock up on food. And if Trump becomes president, he's talking about raising tariffs, import tax to 100%, which means the cost of food that the United States receives from other countries is going to go up 100%, plus another 25%, so that the supermarkets can make a profit. Worst thing, Trump has always been a loser. And this idea of raising tariffs is only going to hurt the United States. It's just like sanctioning. It's just like a sanction. It's going to make it impossible for American suppliers to afford to buy products to sell to American citizens. It doesn't make sense. And to be honest with you, they should be talking about the deficit, not the war. They should be talking about paying off the deficit, because that is the problem. In closing, I'm going to say, I think I told you, BRICS doesn't want to destroy the American dollar. They just want an alternative way of purchasing and selling products. They still want to be able to use the United States market. They want to sell to Americans. just like America wants to sell to China, Russia, any country with a large population, because that's how countries make money. That's how corporations make money. But in a multipolar world, the United States won't be able to prevent countries from improving technologically, repairing their infrastructure. Because all sanctions do is stop countries from being able. It's like having a bank account and you can't take your money out when you need it. That's what sanctions do. So I hope I've explained everything as best I could. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. But I'm going to be teaching the religion of Africa. I guess you can call it an online course of the Synagogue of Spiritual Philosophy. Now understand this. African believed in African spirituality. African spirituality. What is African spirituality? It is the philosophy of the gods. Africans were not worried about going to heaven or hell. They wanted spiritual maturity. They wanted to mature spiritually into gods. Now understand this. There is not the one God, but into God. The God eternal, the singular God is eternal. The eternal God means always existing. What Africans believed in was becoming immortal mortals, becoming gods, becoming spiritually self-aware, and having power over nature. That was the goal of African spirituality. It was not about heaven and hell. And so I will be teaching, this is what I will be teaching in the coming days. It won't be about what's happening now is the road, the snowball is rolling down the hill. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The United States is put a fork in it. It's done. There will be no World War III unless the United States does something. It won't be a World War III. The United States can do something goofy, but there's no profit in it for anybody other than the United States. For the United States, World War III would kind of end up like filing bankruptcy. But anyway, like and subscribe, and I will be posting later. But I'm going to be talking about African spirituality, because now is the time of the awakening. And if you pay close attention, you will notice that everything that the United States does, that Israel does, and that Europe does is working backwards. Nothing they're doing is working, is giving them the benefit that they want. All the ridiculousness and silliness is backfiring in the United States' face. And it will continue to do this because the only way the United States is going to be destroyed is going to be destroyed from within. And that will happen as people become more and more aware of the truth. And the lies just become so ridiculous that only a fool would believe them. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.